Okay, so the last part of sculpting is making the head. And the packet, again, is always a great place to look, a friend sitting next to you, or even your own head. So this shape right here is a very generic shape that we're kind of going for, and I actually really like to look at this one. But this one is also nice. You can see that something that is really important is that the jaw hangs over the neck, and it's not just simply built right in and slopes right into the head. That will look very strange. So you can see in this picture, it has that little space here, and then the jawline jets out. Also in the back of the head, you can see too that it does something similar, kind of right where the ears would be, or just below the ears, I should say. It will stick out further, but the main buildup is really going to be right here. So adding the pieces that you add, you just kind of have to model while you put it on there. And it's all gonna be very rounded. You have to be careful about not making it too big. So the first thing that I would recommend is looking at your picture, seeing the way that the head is positioned with your figure. So this lady is looking up at her hand. So you can see here, right now it's very flat. It's also very short. And it just depends on how much you twisted your wire where your neck is and a couple other things, but I will definitely have to be adding to the top of my head to lengthen that up. So we learned that the head is about the same size as the foot. If your foot was made in the correct proportion, you can use that as a guidance. So like you could measure your head, like measure your foot down here and then measure it up here and see, you know, you can do that, just something I thought of. Okay, so on this one, I actually did start. It's the very beginning process of the head. It's very small at this point, but I just wanted to show you some of the ways to do that. So the first thing I'm gonna start with is building up the two sides here. Okay, so all I need, so I'm just gonna kind of, like you can see there's no really shape that I'm going for. Maybe it's kind of an oval-ish kind of shape or a circle, kind of sphere-ish, flattened sphere, hamburger patty kind of shape. And I'm just gonna be sticking that on there. So since my lady is looking up at her hand, the biggest part of my head will be back here. Once you get it built up a little bit on the sides, then you can start kind of outlining the chin, the jawline that I was talking about, and also the back of the head. So I've kind of got that built up just the tiniest bit. I'm gonna add some to the top. When I add some to the top, I'm not gonna simply do that. I am gonna kind of like layer it over, kind of like around it. It just makes it stronger and hold easier. Okay, so what you're going for is kind of a oval shape. Okay, so go for that first, and then you can kind of get it more defined and more defined. Okay, so now I have some type of generic shape I'm working with. At this point, maybe I would start getting the jawline to come out, and all I do for that is I make kind of these coil pieces and start right at the top of the neck and just kind of keep adding on to this area until it jets out. And it really should jet out about 1/4 of an inch. It's kind of hard to work like this, so I'm doing my best. Okay, so getting something there. I have a little divot right there, so I'm gonna take some of that and just stick the plaster right up on there. So if you feel on your own head, you can see right at the top of the neck is where it starts to really round out. So it'll slightly kind of slope upward. It's not all of a sudden gonna bump out directly here. It'll slope and then it'll kind of come around. So really you just keep building it up. It's kind of like the butt, where it's just like you're creating rounder shapes and bigger, you know, chunkier pieces, and just kind of trying to sculpt it to make more of an oval shape. You know, once you do have the form, you want to evaluate like how round it is. So like if you have little pockets or divots, kind of go back in those spots and fill them in. Realize the loose plaster too is going to help you fill in little tiny spots that maybe have dips in, or little pieces that are kind of not stuck on there as well as you would like them to be. You can take that loose plaster and kind of push it on there. Sometimes it is nice to allow the plaster to dry just a little bit before you continue to just keep stacking on top of here. I'm not gonna go into, you know, having you watch more of this. But again, the packet, your own head, a friend's head is all going to be extremely helpful to look at. I'll just say right now, I know that I need to build mine up a little bit taller. It's still a little bit too small. You don't have to do the details of the head unless you really want to challenge yourself. You might make like the bridge of the nose. One thing I forgot to mention, I'm sorry. This top part where your forehead would be does kind of stick out. It sticks out and then it kind of rolls down to the chin. Okay. All right. Good luck, guys.